Coming up on this edition of Second Alarm, we'll learn about the Spokane Hotspotters group and how it's working to reduce the burden on the emergency medical system in Spokane. Plus, we will go door to door in the Logan neighborhood to get the word out about the importance of smoke detectors. Lastly, we'll learn about the effort to honor the department's fallen firefighters. Those stories and much more coming up on this edition of Second Alarm. Hello, and welcome to this edition of Second Alarm. I'm Assistant Chief Brian Schaefer. The Spokane Hotspotters group focuses on community-wide collaboration to solve some of the most challenging medical and behavioral health cases in the community. Its goal is to reduce the burden on the emergency medical system and provide services that these vulnerable populations need. The Spokane Fire Department is proud to be a part of this incredibly collaborative effort.
One of Spokane's worst alcoholics, from what the police say.
I've been in and out of jail most of my life since I was 18 because of my drinking and stuff.
I grew up in a broken home. And what I mean by a broken home, there was a lot of sexual abuse, there was a lot of emotional abuse, there was a lot of physical abuse. In 2003, on March 23rd at 3:30 a.m., my stepfather had set our house on fire.
I've got the third most arrest in Spokane history, like 108 times, and every time is because I've been drinking.
I know if I continue to drink, I'm gonna end up dead, just like everybody's always said.
Hotspotters is a collaboration with several other agencies, primarily mental health and nonprofit focused organizations that are able to dedicate resources to people that are in crisis, and specifically people that are extreme utilizers of the system.
We saw the same people over and over in the ER that had really, really high needs. These people had really fallen down and were really living at rock bottom. They were people that weren't just going through tough times, they were going through the toughest times.
They're usually folks that are struggling with more than one disorder, whether it's a substance abuse or dependence disorder combined with a mental illness, combined with medical problems, combined with poverty. A lot of these people are probably struggling from a history of trauma and are attempting to cope with that trauma, and probably not in a very healthy way, but the best way that they know how.
And as a result, they're constantly using services far greater levels than the average citizen. And those services can be anything from the hospital to the jail system to the fire department to the ambulance corps to social services. And if we can interact with those folks and do interventions with them and get them housing and get them on their meds and get them chemical dependency counseling, we can really reduce the amount of utilization that they need on any given day just to survive. And that saves the whole community a tremendous amount of money.
Kind of the spark that got it started was when Brian Schaefer, the assistant fire chief, sent out an email that said, here's this person that's using the fire department a tremendous amount, to all these leaders, how can we make an impact on this? And the Medical Society coalesced around that email and formed a group, and we started expanding on that.
What can we do to reduce emergency department trips, whether it was ambulance transport or walk-ins, and how can we serve this person the best with the resources that we have? When a hotspotter is identified and they sign the consent form that allows them to enter into our program to where we can openly collaborate with that customer's best interest in mind, when that happens, it's almost magical, because resources and ideas and different perspectives all come from the group, and we're able to provide better treatment to that person. And the goal ultimately is to have them live safely and contribute to society and not be in crisis.
I will develop and move out of this situation.
This time I want to stop. I'm tired of living on the streets.
I plan on being housed, not going to the emergency room unless it's an emergency. My health getting better.
The hotspotters have looked out for me. Like I've told them before, that I didn't have too many people in my life do that for me. I changed, you know. I don't, maybe it's from a higher power, I don't know, but now I care about what people think. And I really appreciate all the help that the hotspotters have given me.
Our goal is really about the quality of life in the neighborhoods, in the people that we serve through our homeless programs. It's really about enhancing the quality of life for citizens, wherever they are.
If we can introduce that person to housing and case management and counseling and get them stable to where they don't need 27 rides in the ambulance and 27 ER visits and all the interaction with the court systems or the police department, we can save hundreds of thousands of dollars per person if we can get them stable. That's the financial side of the argument. There's a much more profound and, in my opinion, more important part of this argument, which is the moral side of the argument. You know, how can we give people human dignity? How can we give people the respect and the compassion that they deserve as human beings and members of our community?
I think they really want help, and this is the only way they have to communicate through their actions that they want help. And that's why I think this program is going to be so successful and has been, because deep down, if we push a little bit of our help onto them, eventually we break through and they do amazing things.
This fall, the Spokane Fire Department, in partnership with the Red Cross, is working to make sure every home in the Logan neighborhood has a working smoke detector. Volunteers have been going door to door to hand out information and actually install working smoke detectors in the homes that need one. Division Chief and Fire Marshal Lisa Jones has more.
Both of you guys together. So this is your area. Anything in the red boundary, you're only going to be dealing with properties that are these colors.
Today's a kickoff for the Red Cross Spokane Fire Department partnership in canvassing the Logan neighborhood to share fire safety information and emergency preparedness information. We've installed smoke detectors in homes for decades now when we're on the scene for an emergency incident or emergency medical incident, but this is the first time we're going into the neighborhood specifically to install smoke detectors. So today we're sharing information mostly. People who are home and are in need will be able to do some smoke detector installations, and then we're scheduling to come back on October 24th and 25th. Will really be the big push between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. to do installations in homes in need.
We love the turnout, the enthusiasm. We have great volunteers. They're very passionate about helping this neighborhood and helping Spokane, and so we're just blessed with the turnout.
We're with the American Red Cross and the local fire department, handing out flyers for smoke detectors.
We were fortunate enough to partner with our local chapter of the Red Cross and then get some volunteers from other groups, including Spokane Falls Community College, Washington State University, Gonzaga University, and we came together with the same goal in mind to improve the safety and reduce the risk throughout the community. So instead of having fragmented efforts, individual efforts, we decided that pooling our resources was the best way to go. We have a great turnout today.
We're handing out flyers for smoke alarms and smoke detectors.
And the smoke detectors were funded primarily from both the Red Cross International or the National Office and FEMA through the Washington State Association of Fire Marshals. We were able to purchase a number of photoelectric smoke detectors which do well both in the slow smoldering smoky fires and the hot flash flaming fires. And then we got a number of the long life lithium batteries to go along with those.
The Spokane Firefighters Memorials Project's mission is to honor the sacrifice made by those who have served as Spokane firefighters and lost their lives in the line of duty. The goal of the project is to provide a visual tribute to honor each fallen hero at the location of their final service.
While I was union president from 2001 to 2010, I wanted to do a memorial to the firefighters who died in the line of duty. Thought about the idea during that time and thought maybe to have a memorial at the places where the firefighters had died would be an idea. They liked the idea of having the plaques in the sidewalk with the story of each firefighter and tell a little bit about him, his rank, his the company he worked on, his family, that sort of thing, and then how it happened that he died. There was a fire in the basement of Sad Shoes, which was in this occupancy here, and they had sidewalk doors here, and the crews had entered the sidewalk doors with a hose line. He was on engine 4, which they called wagon 4 at the time, and they were advancing a lead into the fire when it flashed over. They had the basement door in the back open as well, and the fire flashed, and in a rush to get out, one of the firemen fell at the top of the ladder, knocked the whole rest of the guys down that were trying to get out. I hope that as passerbys come along and look at it, they're going about their day and shopping, and they stop in front of Nordstrom's and they look down and, oh my, 1914, a firefighter fell to his death at this very site, and he was only 27 years old, and he, was on the department for 3 months, and, just the tragedy of that, and, his family losing him and his parents losing him, and just hopefully that people would have a moment's thought about that, to think that there were these firefighters that had made this sacrifice, and have people understand a little bit about the history of Spokane and of their fire department. Gathered a committee of people, my kids, my wife, my friends, friends at the station, other friends on the job who've come together to help me gather the information for this, because that's been really the biggest project. And, working on, through genealogy, finding out who these people were. My daughter hooked up with the Spokane Genealogy Society, and they have really helped us find current family, people who are alive. We found a family of a firefighter that died in 1909. Was only on the job for 9 months. It's really been a neat experience to find these people. We had another family of Charles Bunnell, who was an alarm operator that died of a heart attack. When we contacted him, when the committee contacted him, he didn't know his grandpa was a firefighter.
I think this is a wonderful thing, not just for my grandfather, but for all the fallen firefighters, and that the families can reconnect. The community, I think this is great for the community to see the honors that are being done for those who have passed away, and like I say, with all the firemen that show up here too, that's just such a great event.
There's 17 firefighters that have died in the line of duty, so we're doing a plaque for each one of them. We have 13 of the plaques installed. We've done dedications for 8 of them. In the spring, we'll install the last 4 plaques. They're not made yet. We're still doing some research on those final 4. And the last plaque we're going to do is for the first firefighter who died in the line of duty. It was a captain, 4 years on the department. 1894 was a captain on the department. Chapman was on ladder 2, or truck 2 at the time. And we hope to have a big kind of final dedication with him and include everybody else.
Fire Station 8 Captain Roger Libby has a lofty goal. He is climbing 110 stories for each firefighter who died at the World Trade Center on 9/11. We caught up with him during a recent morning climb.
I've been climbing stairs for about 3.5 years. Originally I started back in March of 2011 because in that year we were going to do a 10-year anniversary climb in remembrance of the 343 FDNY firefighters that were killed at the World Trade Center.
Firefighter Thomas A. Casoria, Engine 22.
And so we all climbed 110 stories, symbolism of the height of the World Trade Center towers. After that climb, I was in the habit of climbing stairs. I knew it was good for me. I needed to try and stay in shape and better perform my job, so I just kept climbing. But every day that I spent an hour or so in this stairwell, the thoughts just haunted me about those 343 guys and what they went through, and you know, the aftermath and what their families had to deal with, and you know, the nearly 3,000 people that were killed. And it motivated me to do something important before I retired from the job. And so every day it haunted me, and I just kept thinking, what can I do to do something special to honor and remember those 343 that made the ultimate sacrifice. And so one day in the stairwell, it just occurred to me, I did a memorial climb for one of them. It just made sense for me to do it for all 343. So in October October 21st of 2012, I officially started my quest to do 343 climbs of at least 110 stories per man, and to establish a permanent memorial at our training center, which I've done. And I'm on pace now to finish my last climb on Memorial Day, which I think is befitting. Memorial Day of 2015 should be my very last climb. Today I'm climbing for firefighter Kevin O'Rourke, and it's interesting because with the bios and that sort of thing, I find that I've climbed for father and son, I've climbed for brothers, I've climbed for cousins, and that makes it all the more emotional, I think, for me to think of what those families had to deal with. You know, the other thing that's emotional for me is knowing that for the vast majority of these firefighters, there was actually no evidence of them ever found. So it was a devastating day. It was a devastating day for America, obviously, but it was the most deadly day in American history for the fire service. And you know, the fire service has been a part of my life for 33.5 years now. And before I go out, I just want to make sure that I do something special and let these guys know and their families know, and the remaining crew members that survived that horrific day, that I'm thinking about them. And every climb, every day, that's exactly what goes through my mind, is what these guys had to go through.
That's all for this edition of Second Alarm. Be sure to check out back episodes on our YouTube channel, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop us a line at fire@spokanefire.org or give us a call at 509-625-7000. Thank you and stay safe.